day out there to all of my listeners. And I'd like to welcome you to Is Your Way in Your Way podcast. And for my new listeners, just for some of you, I'm your host, and my name is Cassandra Crawley Mayo. And actually, the name of my book is titled Is Your Way in Your Way. And we talk about topics related to self improvement, personal development. But I am really, really excited about my special guest today. So I have a question. What if the very thing that keeps you from your financial freedom, um, whatever you figured out would enable you to live your best life? Maybe you want to start a business, maybe you want to coach, maybe you want to write a book, maybe you want to leave a job, a career, but is the voice in your head telling you you're not enough or you're not ready, not worthy? Well, my guest today knows that voice all too well. She went from waiting to be chosen and second guessing her every move to building a wildly profitable business that aligns with her values and brings in consistent $10,000 a month without burning out. So, this conversation is giving all of you permission to stop waiting and start walking boldly into your CEO life. Stay tuned because today we're getting you your way out of your way. So she is going to offer not just inspiration, but tangible next steps to help women stop standing in their own way and for you guys to start walking confidently into the life business you are meant to have. Let me welcome Joy Rowland. Hi, Joy.
Hi, Miss Cassandra. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm a huge fan of you, and so this is like a celebrity moment for me. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Oh, bless your heart. Bless your heart. Well, like I always said, listen, hey, listeners, I told her I call her my little powerhouse. She has a lot going on and she has impressed me. And I am so glad that she is on my show because you're going to gain a lot of insight from her. Like I already have, I've been listening to her podcast and she has it really going on. But let me tell you the name of this podcast today. It's called How to Rewrite Internal Narratives and Reclaim Your Voice with Confidence. Wow. So, Joy, what I want to do is before we dive into some questions, I want to read a little bit of your bio because I want my listeners to know and why you are qualified to talk about what we get ready to talk about. She's a certified profitable coach, international speaker, and a podcast host who helps women entrepreneurs grow wildly profitable businesses without burnout or self doubt. Once a woman who downplayed her gifts, like many of us do, and battled imposter syndrome, Joy transformed her life by aligning her business with her values, owning her voice, and turning her expertise into consistent income. Today, when I say income, and you heard that $10,000 a month profitable, it's not always about the money, guys, but it's really about what you were called to do and to start having a purposeful, fulfilling, meaningful life like she has now. So she talks about owning your voice, turning your income into consistency. She equips women to step boldly into their CEO role with a clear business formula, a strong mindset, and a repeatable path to then $10,000 a month. So we're going to do some real talk, some practical tools, and a story of turning fear into freedom. So she's going to inspire you ladies and men that are in here, some of you, to believe again in yourself and in what's possible. Wow, that's amazing. Um, I would like to know, I like my audience to know, tell us a little about who you are and what did your backstory have to do with the person that you are now?
Oh, thank you so much for that question. I just wanted to clarify something very quickly. So, I help women get to 10K consistent months, 10K plus consistent months. I'm already at 25K monthly. So, I'm way past the 10K mark. But my goal now in my coaching program, I help women get to 10K plus months consistently.
Oh,
I just
wow.
clarify that.
Thank
So
you.
my background, like the I want to say the hunger for understanding how money works comes from a place of lack, comes from a place of struggle because I was born into poverty. I
Mm,
was born in northern Nigeria in sub-Saharan Africa, and we were extremely poor. Like
mm,
so lucky to have a warm meal every single week. And
mm,
so my desire to figure out how money works came from a very young age because I had this burning question. How come those people live in big houses? How come they
mm,
have all these amazing lives? How come we get to struggle? So I've always had that question in my mind. And I think that's what made me want to figure out how money works. So my fascination for money has come from a very young age. I remember reading The Richest Man in Babylon when I was like 10
mhm,
to figure this thing out. So that's where my hunger for money, figuring out money and success came from. And it's just fueled everything I've achieved today. And so I have, if you talk about imposter syndrome, not just mentally, but on paper, like I was the biggest imposter, right? A
mhm.
Black African woman in London at the age of 25. I left my home country at the age of 25 myself,
Oh,
to a country where I had no family, no friends.
wow.
And so I was the biggest imposter. So that's why it's my passion right now to help women overcome the chatter. We have so much chatter inside of our brains
Mhm,
telling us good enough. For me, it was you speak funny,
mhm.
nobody's going to understand you. And so all of that internal imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
I had to overcome. And that's how I got to where I am today. So I am happy to dive in deeper because my goal is to help women, just inspire women, but to awaken them to their potential so that they can
Mhm,
finally create the life of wealth, abundance, freedom, fulfillment that they know they deserve.
mhm, mhm. I'm sorry, Joy. I meant to tell you that I have a fur baby by the name of Max, and sometimes he likes to get on my podcast, and he's actually in his cage and he's getting louder. So I'm hopeful that he will be quiet. But a lot of my listeners already know him.
He's welcome. Tell him to come in.
Yeah, right. No, he would dominate the show, and that I'm not allowing that. Wow. So you came to America?
I came to the UK at the time.
Oh, the UK, all by yourself, not knowing anyone?
No friend, no family, nothing. I
Okay,
just
that's
paid
that's
half.
brave.
Yeah, I paid half my tuition because that was the requirement then to be able to leave my home country. So I had to save up over 3 years to pay up upfront half my tuition in Middlesex University in the UK. And not only that, as an immigrant, you're not entitled to student loans. And you know, in the US, Canada, the UK, if
Mhm,
you are a citizen, you have access to student loans. But as an immigrant, you do not, right?
mhm,
So my
mhm.
goal was to get to the UK, find jobs to help me pay up my fees. And so it's just been a very interesting journey.
Wow, that's probably good because then you wouldn't be in debt. But what you're doing now, you'd have gotten out of it. So that was a blessing in that. But your perseverance is just great what you did. Now, before you now you so once you've graduated, did you get into the IT industry? Okay.
Yes, but not immediately. When I graduated, the only jobs I could get, well, that's the story I told myself, were
Right.
retail jobs. Um, so I did retail. I worked in Marks and Spencer's. If you're familiar with the UK, it's a big retail store in the UK. I was a retail assistant, so I was working in the warehouse. I was working serving people on the tills. And then at night, I would work as a security guard. So I was a security guard
Wow.
in London. I was working in a warehouse in London at the time. So it took me a while to find a professional job, right? So it took me about 2 years to find a professional job with Barclays at the time. And that was like a miracle. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm working in a very big bank. It's one of the top banks in the UK.
Yeah.
And my journey has just evolved from there.
Wow. Okay, so you transitioned. Um, Tell us how you, okay, so you knew, first of all, growing up, you grew up in poverty and you had made up in your mind that I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to move on because I know there's something bigger for me in spite of what I grew up in. Well, how did you become, what happened for you to become a coach, a profitable coach?
Yes. So I worked in IT for 20 years. So like I love IT. I love math, computer science, all of those things because that's what
Oh,
I studied in school.
okay.
And even now, I still have an IT company. So my IT company is called Clearcraft. We build AI voice agents for businesses, and I've taken that to seven figures. And I'm so glad to have that business. But my passion is in coaching because I discovered coaching, went through the life coach school. Brooke Castillo taught me the tools to be able to coach myself. So she calls this the self coaching model. And so when I was exposed to the self coaching model and I saw how coaching transformed my life and how it helped me to see that I could be more, I could be whatever I want to be with the power of coaching. And that was when I decided that this is my path. I want to help women to get out of their own way to see that whatever life you dreamed of as a child, because as children, we had all of these big ambitions. But
Mhm.
when we became teenagers or young adults, it's almost like the reality of life dawned on us. And
Mhm.
then we kind of started rationalizing our dreams, right? We
Mhm.
started saying, not sure. And so we kind of watered down our dreams to match the reality of society. So
Mhm.
my goal is to help women to see that that dream they had as a child to create an abundant, successful, beautiful life, fulfilling life, that dream is still possible if you believe.
Right, right. Now, although you had imposter syndrome, you were like doubting yourself. What methodology did you use to transition that mind? Because the mindset is a powerful thing. What are some of the things that you did that regained your confidence, whereas you were able to reclaim your voice?
Yes, I'm going to give you two methodologies. The first one is about neuroscience and understanding how the brain works and understanding that the brain, what we call the limbic brain, which is the brain at the back of our head, that's the type of brain all other animals in the wild has. So that's the limbic brain, and that part of our brain ultimately has three motivations. The
Mm.
first is to avoid pain, the second is to seek pleasure, and the third is to conserve energy as much as possible. So
Now,
when we were
wait,
in the
Joy,
cave,
wait 1 second. What's the first one?
the first one is to seek pleasure. So to
Okay,
go towards pleasure.
sure.
Yeah. The second one is to avoid pain.
Avoid. Okay. Uh-huh.
And the third is to conserve energy as much as possible.
Okay.
So
All right.
those are the three, we call it the motivational triad of the brain, right? And we also call this the toddler brain, right? The toddler brain wants to keep you safe. When we were in the cave, that part of our brain was so necessary to keep us away from all the wild animals, to keep us safe. However, we have evolved as humans. We now have the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is the part of our brain that helps us to make executive decisions. That's
Mm.
the part of our brain that we can use to manage the limbic brain. So the prefrontal cortex is here.
Yeah.
So when I understood how the human brain works, and I saw that all of my limiting beliefs were actually my limbic brain trying to keep me safe. So
Uh-huh.
for example, if you wanted to start a business, let's say your goal is you want to get to 50K months, your limbic brain will tell you that's not safe. It's not safe for you to be visible. It's not safe for you to be judged by other people.
Mm-hmm.
So the limbic brain gives you excuses why
Mm-hmm.
going for 50K months is not safe for you as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
However, you can use your prefrontal cortex to override your limbic brain to say, it might be uncomfortable, but we are safe, right? Because your
Mm-hmm.
limbic brain kind of equates going for 50K months with being in the wild with wild animals, right? So when I understood how the prefrontal cortex can be used to override the limbic brain, I'm like, "Ah, this is gold."
Hmm.
And then the second methodology I use is understanding that confidence can be built. Confidence is not a skill that we're all born with. Like some people might be born with confidence, but majority of human beings, we weren't born with confidence. But confidence can be learned. It's a skill that you can learn. How do we learn the skill?
Uh-huh.
I take my clients through 3 levels. The first is the courage to start. You have to find the courage to say, I want to go for this goal and I'm going to find the courage to start.
Mm-hmm.
Once you find the courage to start, and the courage to start also includes being humble. So, humility to say, I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm going to start this. And I have the courage to almost like fail in public, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have the courage to learn in public and to allow people to see that I am a learner. So that's the first step. Once you get the courage to start, the second step is commitment. You
Mm.
have to be committed to your goal.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
commitment means you go from just being interested to being invested in your goals. So,
Mm-hmm.
commitment is the second level. And the third level is consistency and discipline.
Mm-hmm.
When you're consistent and disciplined, then you become confident. Then you
Mm-hmm.
start seeing the results. That's how confidence is built. So, confidence is a muscle that you can build and you can train and
Mm-hmm.
you can achieve whatever you want in life. But here's the thing, when you set a goal, you muster the courage to start,
Yeah.
you become committed to your goal, and you
Right.
become consistent and you
Right.
get confidence. Once you become confident in that goal, guess what? As human beings, we set another goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
when
right.
you set another goal, you go back to the beginning again from courage, and it's like a circle you keep going on. And we never, like, we keep evolving, we keep setting goals.
Right.
So people
That's
need
right.
to be aware that whatever you decide to do in your business, just be aware that you're going to start with courage, then you're going to be committed to your goal, then you're going to be consistent, you're going to be disciplined, and then you're going to be confident.
Okay, that's good. So, what would you say though, um, for individuals? We and a lot of this comes from your education. It comes from your go-gettingness. You were ready. I could tell you were determined that you were going to. Um, you had your mindset on one thing, and you did that. But there's some people that are stuck. And I'll give you an example. When I wrote my book, it took me years to write my book. And the reason it took me years because I was stuck. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Why am I stuck? What's going on? And and it was like a burden on me for years. So all of a sudden, it was like all of a sudden, I sat down during COVID and wrote the book. So, what would you say to someone who is stuck and in the waiting game like I was? Maybe it's something you could say to get them moving. Don't have to wait years like I waited to get this book done. So, what would you say to individuals that are stuck and in the waiting game? They're just waiting.
Mm. Sometimes being stuck can be a blessing, right? So don't be, I want to say, listen to what God is trying to tell you, right? Once you figure out that you are not stuck because you are choosing to be stuck and you've listened to what God wants to say and you're ready to move on,
Mhm. Mhm.
I, I always teach people to understand how results are created. Whatever it is in life, our results come from the thoughts we choose to think,
Right.
and our thoughts are optional. And
Mhm.
when I understood this, how the thought model works, I could then see that I can create whatever result I want to create just
Mhm.
following this thought model. And this is how the thought model works. Circumstances are neutral, right? Circumstances are facts of life,
Mhm.
but the thoughts we choose to think in a given circumstance are optional. However, those thoughts create a feeling in our body.
Right.
And the feeling those thoughts create in our body lead us to take specific actions.
Mhm.
And the actions we take ultimately determine the results we create.
Mhm.
So I like to reverse engineer this model. So this is a model, right? It goes from thought to feeling to action and then to results. So
Mhm.
once I understood that model, I can reverse engineer my success and say, okay, what results do I want to create? So let's go back to the book example you gave. If the result I want to create is to write a book, so
Mhm.
that's it goes to the result line. So
Right.
that's the end goal.
Right.
However, to reverse engineer that, I then ask my brain, what actions do I need to take to get to my result?
Mhm.
And then if I do some analysis, I would say, oh, I need to write 2 pages per day,
Mhm.
right? So that's the action I need to take. Well, what feeling do I need to be feeling to take that action? Well, the
Mhm.
feeling has to be motivation, commitment,
Right.
desire. And
Mhm.
once I determine the feeling I need to be feeling to take those actions, then I say, what thoughts do I need to be thinking to generate that feeling? So
Mhm.
I become so intentional and I journal and I say, what thoughts do I need to intentionally think every single day to feel desire, motivation, commitment to write my book? And the thought might be, um, I am so well equipped to write this book. That's one thought. Another
Okay.
thought could be thousands of women are waiting for this book to be written. If I
Mhm.
choose that thought, thousands of people are waiting for me to write this book. When
Mhm.
I think that thought, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so motivated. So that's a thought I could choose in that
Yeah.
circumstance.
Okay.
Another thought could be, um, I am a badass, right? So you can play around with the thought. My coach calls this trying on thoughts, almost like you go to the store to shop for clothes and then you try different thoughts and then you see how that thought feels in your body and you see
Mm.
what action you take from those thoughts. So that's the framework I teach for people to get whatever results they want to get.
Okay. So that's it's changing the internal narrative, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because what is it? We have about 6,000 thoughts a day. I think it's something like that, and
Six
90% of them are negative. Yeah.
60,000, not 6,000,
60,000.
60,000 thoughts per
60.
day.
Right.
And 95% of those are repetitive thoughts from the previous day. So
Mm.
they are thoughts that happen at the subconscious level. And that's why it's so fascinating to wrap our heads around 60,000 thoughts. Like this
Right.
is research by neuroscientists, right? But
Mm.
because 95% of those thoughts happen at a subconscious level. It's happening outside of our consciousness. We are not even aware we have those thoughts.
Right.
But those subconscious thoughts are the thoughts running the show. So, which is why the first step in any program is to become aware of those subconscious thoughts, right? If you
Right.
want to change your circumstance, you have to be aware of the thoughts running the show in the background. And it's a skill that can be learned, right?
Right.
Because in today's world, we are so overwhelmed with technology, with social media, with the news. So,
Right.
being quiet to discover the subconscious thoughts we are thinking repetitively is an art and a skill that can be learned.
Right. And that's something you have to have in order to be what you are, a profitable coach, right? So the profitable coach, you became that. We're going to go back to where you started. And then from that point, you determined that you wanted to bless people on how to be profitable in their
Yes.
life. Money is one, abundance, it could be a number of things, right? So I want to talk about the money. All right. Okay.
My favorite topic.
I know it is. And there were a couple of things you said when we talk about business growth for women and entrepreneurs, and how you talked about storytelling enhances that. Okay, that's one question. But then we talk about when when people talk about money, their mind, something goes on with the mind. You know, uh, what beliefs or mindsets shift people from surviving to thriving financially? What
Mm,
kind of mindset, or and usually when people have these I would say dreams or visions, or this is what I need to live my best life, then a lot of people say, well, I don't have the money. You hear that a lot? Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Why, what is that? Because listening to you, you have doubled. What was it? The 10,000 a month,
Mhm.
right? How for first of all, how'd you get to the 10,000 and double it to 20? What was going on in that mind that enabled you to do that?
Well, my goal for the next couple of months, I want to see how I can get to 50K months. So, like I said, I'm already at 25K. That's fine. I want to get to 50K months. For me now, money is like a game, right? I enjoy the game of money. And I'm so blessed because I have teachers who are doing extraordinary things, right? The coaches I am learning from, they are doing $1 million months, right? Not
Mhm.
because of the dollar amount. Like I always keep a stack of dollars. Like I don't need these paper. Like this is not the goal. Like people don't need money just to stack up dollars in their houses. Like the
Mhm.
green white paper, that's not it. The reason we keep setting money goals, for me, I feel is the best way to develop personally. Is the way I evolve as a human being. Because
Mhm.
when I set money goals, all of my inner chatter come up. And when I solve for those inner chatter, I evolve as a human being. Like the way I speak now is hugely different from the way I spoke 2 years ago, just 2 years ago.
Okay.
I'm
Mhm.
like a different woman. I am becoming, right? It's the journey of becoming. That's what's addictive, right? The
Mhm.
journey of evolution.
Right.
So I just love for women to be able to step outside of their comfort zone around what they think money is, around what
Mhm.
they think abundance is. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, as we grow, we make more money, we end up giving it all away, right? Because there is so many houses I can live in at once, right?
Yeah.
So the goal is to evolve. And to your question about people saying they don't have the money, I think it comes from childhood, right? Because research has shown that our money story is embedded by the age of 7.
Mhm.
By the age of 7, your money signature, your money story is already embedded. How you think about money, what you think money is, how you think money is made, all of that is
Mhm.
programmed by the age of 7. I'm not just making this up. People can go research this for themselves. So when people come to me and they come to me for business strategy, but business strategy is less than 10% of the equation. You have to become the person that can receive and hold money first. You have
Mhm.
to become that person. So I see many people jump the becoming, they just go to the strategy, and that's why people hustle. You see people hustling for money,
Yeah.
they're trying different things, it's so hard.
Right.
That's because mentally they're not the person yet, right? And if someone says, "Oh, I want to make $20,000 per month," the reason you're not currently making $20,000 per month is because you've not become the person yet.
Hmm.
If you become the person that earns $20,000 per month in your brain, in your mind, it will manifest in physical reality. So the work is to become first. Who's that person? What time does she wake up every day? What kind of words does she use? What kind of people does she have around her? When you mentally become that person, your physical reality matches that person in the mind. So I feel that's the first step for most people. And I know I said our money story is embedded by the age of 7, but there is some good news. There's something called neuroplasticity.
Mhm.
Neuroplasticity says that the brain has the capacity to change, which is amazing. So even though your money story has been embedded by the age of 7, the good news is you can change your your programming, like everything that's been instilled in you by your parents, your mom, your dad,
Mhm.
society, all of that can be reprogrammed if you do the work. And that's where the work is.
Okay. All right. So I know my listeners like, okay, well, all right. So what is it that they need to do? We talked about what time you wake up in the morning. In other words, have a money abundance mindset,
Mhm.
right? And in order to get that, these are things that you can't do by yourself. A lot of people try to do things on their own, and we all need each other. So it's something that you can't do. It's like yourself being a coach. You're somebody that can support them in doing that. And then when people say, and then there are people say, yeah, that's what she said, but I have a family and I need to do this and I have to work 2 to 3 jobs. And so when they tell you that, what do you say to them?
You don't have to. You don't
Hmm.
have to work 2 to 3 jobs. You are choosing to. I'm not saying for you to quit your job. I think
Right,
where the empowerment comes is realizing that your reality is a choice. You have chosen. You are choosing. And that could be a good choice, right? So I want people to, first of all, own that choice. And that's where empowerment comes. And that's where change begins. Because if you say, I have to, it means you're powerless, right? You
right,
don't have to work 2 to 3 jobs. If you say, I am choosing to work 2 to 3 jobs right now because I want to provide for my family,
right.
that's your choice, right? So, first is owning your choices. And then the second step is defining your vision for your life. Like, what do you, even though you're working 2 to 3 jobs now, but what do you want? What's
Hmm.
your vision? What do you desire? So you need to map that out on paper first. Now,
Okay.
you don't need to have a vision board. I don't have one. But if you want to go the vision board route, you can go. But just take a pen and paper and write down what's your desired future state. So you could say, my desired future state is, oh, I wake up in the morning, I have a successful business, a thriving business. I live in a 7 bedroom home wrapped around in lush greens. So define that future, right?
Mhm.
So that's where the work begins. When you define the vision for your future,
Okay.
now from that place of empowerment, and especially when you see that you create your reality, that's where transformation happens. And one, like, I studied the laws of the universe. One of the laws of the universe is the law of reflection. The the world will always reflect to us what we think. So, for example, if somebody thinks the economy is terrible,
Right.
right? Like they are choosing to think the economy is terrible. Guess what? They are not signing clients, their business is not moving, right? So the world displays to them because my coach says our brains are a very loyal dog, right? You know how your dog wants to be loyal?
Yeah.
That means your brain will prove you right every time. Your brain will prove right what you think in your mind. So if you choose to think the economy is bad, your reality will match that. But if you choose to think, I am my own economy, I get to decide how much money I make. It doesn't matter what the economy says. If you choose to think that, guess what? You create the reality. And how do I know the economy is not bad? Because there are tons of coaches making millions of dollars per year.
Still. Hmm.
And when I throw these numbers out, I love to give examples. For example, Jodie Moore is a coach I absolutely adore. She makes over $8 million every single year. She's a coach, and she's a coach to Mormons. You know LDS, the Church of Latter Day Saints of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Oh, she's a Mormons. Right.
Yeah, no, not just that she's a Mormon. Her niche, that's her niche. That's the people she coaches, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
she's making $8 million per year. That's one. Another one is Corinne Crabtree. Corinne Crabtree is a weight loss coach. She's
Hmm.
earning $13 million per year as a weight loss coach.
Hmm.
Now, she never even went to college. So, for people who say, I have to go to college to make millions of dollars, you don't have to. So, I love to give examples for people to say, oh my gosh, oh, if I
Hmm.
truly want to make money, I can make money, right? So, your reality will always match what you choose to think in your mind.
Mm. Hmm. So individuals listening to this podcast is like, yeah, I don't know. And that mindset is, first of all, you're doubting. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, right. And then what I've learned, particularly in my business too, is not, I'm not saying money it doesn't help. Money is a blessing, but it's more to it. So I'm thinking that her weight loss, she's making an impact on individuals that want to lose weight. So you can't dismiss why you're doing it. Your why, I think, has to be big. I mean, the why to me, I think, is very important. And then whose niche is the Mormons? Why is that her niche? Um, in other words, you have to figure out, like, yours is, like, your niche is women,
Mhm.
right? Is it certain kind of women? Like you can interview women and say, nah, I don't think this is someone that I want to work with. Do you ever do that? Eh,
Oh, many times. Yeah. I like it has to be a match for me. It has to be someone I want to work with, right? So it has to be a woman who desires success because desire is something a coach cannot give you, right?
Okay.
You have to want to be successful. You have to want money, right? So I choose the kind of people I work with. I'm very, very intentional about, well, right now I'm fully booked anyway, so I'm not taking one-on-one clients right now, but I have a group program where I get people to come into. So choosing a niche is absolutely critical because your niche will determine the kind of marketing you put out. right? You have to nail down your niche. So, for example, when I speak to my people in my Instagram posts, all of my marketing, I get people messaging me in the DM saying, "Oh my gosh, that post really resonated with me." The
Mm-hmm.
reason I'm having all of those feedback is because I know the person I'm trying to target. In fact, I've named her. Her name is Naomi. I know what her desires are. And the reason is because I have done the work. So the
Mm-hmm.
first step, like everyone knows, is to define your target audience and identify your offer. What is your offer? What is the product or the service? What is the transformation you're promising them? Because that's what people want. People want transformation. And then you have your process of how you get them from pain to pleasure, because that's what people are paying for. Your people are currently in pain, they want to
Mm-hmm.
get to pleasure. And then you clearly articulate how you get them from pain to pleasure. And that's
Mm-hmm.
how you attract clients to work with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Their pain points. It's kind of like when you were describing the brain,
Mm,
4 elements, and one was avoiding. First they want to avoid pain, and then we got to the pleasure part, and results, the action and the results. Tell us how. I mean, I can't talk to you all day, unfortunately, but tell. So you have a program.
mhm.
Tell, how does your program work for my listeners?
Yes. So I run a program. It's called the Business Growth Academy. And this is where I help people identify their offer. So I'm a business coach, right? So I help people run profitable businesses. So the first step is to identify what you want to offer the world. And God is so generous and He's such a fair God that He has given each and every one of us skills, talents to profit with. Like if you go into the Bible, you'll see the parable of how He gave everyone talents. So the first step is to identify your your unique, what you want to bring into the marketplace,
Right.
right? So that could be your experience. Like maybe you've dealt with a narcissistic husband and you've gone through a terrible marriage, and your goal now is to help women overcome terrible abusive marriages. Let's say that's your passion. Like you have to be passionate about this, right? So
Right.
I help women uncover the thing they want to bring to the marketplace, the thing that people will pay you thousands of dollars for to help them solve. So that's the first step. And then I help you to launch. I help you to bring your offer to the marketplace. And then I bless you. I help you attract clients and get your business to consistent 10K months. So that's what I do inside of my Business Growth Academy. It's a 6 month group coaching program.
Mm-hmm. How will my listeners be able to get in touch with you?
The best way is via Instagram DMs. That's the best way to get in touch with me. I run monthly workshops. So if you go on any of my link in bio, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you'll see a link to my free workshop.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Uh, I would like for you to share some parting words to my listeners who are stuck, because this is about individuals being in their own way, in their way of doing. I think in the beginning I kind of talked about, what if the very thing keeping you from financial freedom is your voice and your head telling you you're not ready, you're not worthy, or not enough. And for those who have not moved yet on what it is that will enable them to start living their best life on their terms, what could you say to them to get to take action? Because as you indicated, we have all this in our mind, but one of the things we don't execute,
Mm.
we don't take that action. So what could you impart in my listeners to get them off of the sofa, out of their minds, and move forward?
Oh, thank you so much for that question, Cassandra. And I know many people struggle with this. The words I have is that, first of all, there's nothing wrong with you. There is like, there is a reason why your brain is trying to keep you safe.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to uncover that thing your brain is trying to keep you safe from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So your brain is not being malicious. Your brain doesn't hate you. Your brain thinks it's trying to keep you safe. It's
Right.
trying to keep you safe from criticism. It's trying to keep you safe from judgment. It's trying to keep you safe from people telling you bad things in the comments when you post, right? So your brain exaggerates all of these things in your
Yeah.
mind to say, oh my gosh, we better stay in our 9 to 5 job. We better
Right.
stay strong. We don't want to be exposed to people telling us nasty things. So the
Right.
first step is to identify what your brain is trying to keep you safe from. Once
Mm-hmm.
you identify that, I want you to use your prefrontal cortex. Like, once you identify that, I want you to write it on in your journal. And then you'll see that there is no logic on paper as to why your brain is trying to keep you safe. So
Mm-hmm.
first of all, dump all of your fears. You're afraid of something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dump those fears down in your journal, and then use your prefrontal cortex to say, we are not at risk of being eaten by a lion in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be okay. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to be okay. And ultimately, when your desire for success outweighs the comfort of being stuck, you're going to take action. So
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing at stake. So for me, what was at stake for me was going back to, in fact, when I show people pictures of what my life was back in Nigeria, it's unbelievable. There was a slum. We were living in a slum. So I had no choice. The only choice was to succeed. So for many people, they are so comfortable in what modernized society has given them. In fact, when I was in the UK, did you know the government will pay people when they're unemployed? And I'm like, if you pay people for being unemployed, what motivation do they have to go work? So, first of all, define your vision. Why is this very important? And like I said, for many people, it's not just stacking up the dollars in the
Right.
bank. For many people, it's the desire to make an impact. For many people, it's the desire to feel fulfilled. Right now, I wake up every morning and I cannot wait to get out of bed. I'm so excited to come downstairs into my office to work.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have that excitement, that joy and desire for life is infectious, and
Yeah.
you attract so many clients that way.
Wow. That was powerful. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. So my listeners, this was impactful. And a lot of it is that mindset. And like I said earlier, you cannot do it yourself. You have Joy that can help you, although she's kind of booked right now. But I always say when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. So if you're really ready to move forward, get unstuck, and start living your best life on your terms, as you indicated, the universe will open up the doors. But you know within your heart whether this is something that you want to do. So I ask you, listeners, to share this with individuals that you know that could benefit from this. And also re-listen.
you.
It was a lot being said. Write notes. And I guarantee that if it's something you really want, and if your money, I say, is important, but that can't be the main reason just to get the money, because you're not
Mhm,
serving anybody. And as Joy indicated, we all have gifts, we all have talents. What are we going to do with it? Bury them? And
mhm,
that's what many of us are doing, and rather than multiplying them. So, Joy, I want to thank you again. Like I always say to my listeners, bye for now, but I always say, God bless you. And I'm hopeful this is the podcast that will enable you to start taking action. So, again, thank you so much, Joy. And as I say, bye for now. Mm, 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 mm. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, okay. Joy,
Yes,
now
ma'am.
I know why you were named Joy.
Yes.
Yeah, because you are Joy. And I want to thank you. I went in a different direction today. And I think Max was kind of distracting me a little bit. But I really wanted to talk more about that financial piece because you have a calculator. You have,
Yes.
yeah, you have things that will help individual tools that will help them get to
10K months.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I appreciate you. I just applaud you for doing what it is that God has called you to do. And that I know a lot of people that maybe listen to you is like, I don't know, and that's the thing that stops people. But I believe you. I believe you.
Thank you. And I want you to know that the episode went exactly how it was supposed to go. That's how God wanted it to go. So I know sometimes we have a set way and then it just happens another way. So it was perfect. Thank you
Right,
so much.
right. And you did a phenomenal job. And I'd love for us to stay in touch. I have been following you, and I've looked at a couple of your episodes from other people that interviewed you. And I thought you did very well, and I know you're going to continue to be successful.
Amen.
Currently, I'm not where you are um, financially, but I'm definitely gonna get there. I'm like that 10,000 a month is good, and then
Yeah.
I could double that.
Then you get to 20 and then you double that again.
I
You can
know,
make as much money as you want to make.
I know, with that
Yeah.
mindset, right?
Yeah, and you have the tools already. Like you are well set up to attract those clients. Like the women you serve need your help. So I'm gonna spend time after this. I'm gonna go through your podcast. It's about having a program at the back end where you sell people into. So I do monthly workshops, and that's what I teach my clients. That's where I sign all of my clients. So I do one workshop every month. I give incredible value, and then I have an offer at the end of the workshop. So that's how I sign people into my offer. So my program is $5,000 for 6 months, and I have people signing up on the call, even without a discovery call. So it's definitely choosing having the right systems to like to grow your business exponentially. I think that's one of
Yeah,
the
and I
ways
think
to.
I have to get out of this mindset. Let me let him in. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, Max.
Come on in, Max.
I
Come on
know. Max, go over there and sit down. Okay. What was it? Oh yeah. I actually, when I have guests, and one of the things I think about, how can I, if I'm a guest, I can do it, but I want to serve the guests that I have. I want them to share what they do, so they also can get clients. But I have to be more cognizant of what I do and share it.
in.
I share it on other people's, but not
Yeah.
when I have a guest, because I don't think, and you tell me this, it's the right place to share it, or either figure out how to share it.
Yeah, so I do this in my solo episodes. So, in fact, my episodes do better on my podcast than when I have a guest. So that tells me people want to hear me more. So in my solo episodes, I give value and then I invite them to take the next step. So solo episodes, I think that's the place you can give value and then have a call to action for them to take it to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I like when you said you don't have discovery calls. You just like,
No,
right, uh-huh, right. That's a waste of time.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah. So
okay.
they come to my workshop and then they get to decide if they want to work with me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that advice. And I
Thank
started off with solo calls and I felt strange. Like I'm not talking to anybody, like nobody's in front of me. But I have been told to do more and I am going to do that.
you. Okay,
I am going to do
awesome.
that. Well, if
Thank
there's
you so much.
anything that I can do for you or if I pop up, do not hesitate to reach out to me.
Yeah, and you too as well. I'm gonna take a look at your YouTube, your podcast, and if I have any feedback, I'll send it to you via the podcast, Podmatch DMs.
Okay. Okay. Thank you